What's up YouTube, this is Dragon and this is another Pokemon Wi-Fi battle. So let's get to the battle at hand. Well, this team right here is, well, I'd say, I'm not going to even say it's a mixed team because it only has one underused Pokemon. But essentially, it was kind of like whoever you want to battle with, that's who you use. So it was, yeah, it's OU. It's OU, alright? But anyway, my Pokemon are on the left and my opponent's Pokemon are on the right because, obviously, I'm Dragon. So, let's get to the battle. Alright, now this team, no, not this team, but this battle was amazing. Like, my opponent has some really good strategies. So I sent out my Crobat first, hoping that my opponent would send out his Manectric, but he sent out his Garchomp instead. So now I'm like, okay, this could be a Scarf Garchomp, you know, but I'm gonna take the risk anyway and go for a U-turn regardless. But then he sends out his Klefki, and I'm like, alright, because my initial thought was to U-turn the Manectric to get on some free damage, because a lot of people like to, you know, put that in, you know, to get off the Mega Evolution. But then he might not have even had Protect, because Manectrics are naturally fast. Anyway, I U-turn, and now go into my Ferrothorn. Mostly I'm kind of thinking about Thunder Wave possibly coming in, but I want to get out my rocks because this is like kind of the only chance my Ferrothorn will come in for free, and I don't mind my Ferrothorn being slowed down. So now I'll lay out some Stealth Rocks, and I'm like, alright, what can my opponent do at this point? I'm definitely going to get on those rocks, and my opponent knows I'm most likely going to switch, and he's going to take this chance to Mega Evolve. My opponent also knows I have the Blissey, so he's now going to get the free Mega Evolution. Technically, I got free rocks, so it's kind of like a good exchange, 50-50, but, you know, hey, it is what it is at this point. So now he intimidates my Blissey, and of course, you know, an intimidated Blissey, that's funny. Alright, so he uses Volt Switch. Like, it was just kind of obvious because there's really, obviously, I'm going to switch it to my Blissey. And then he goes into Hooper. Now, I have not seen this Pokemon in action because I haven't been in the OU tier in such a long time relative to Pokemon Showdown. Like, what I've obviously, like, OU or VCG is a little bit different when it comes to singles. So I didn't expect for this to happen. I didn't know what was going to happen, honestly. And now I learned that this is not only a Dark and Psychic type Pokemon, but has tons of attack, horrible defense, but really good special defense. And he's also kind of slow. But I used Toxic, and I wasn't really afraid, like, if he used any type of physical attack, because, you know, even if he did use, like, the Drain Punch or whatever he did, it wouldn't kill me because Blissey has really high defenses. I mean, not really high defenses, but high enough relative because of all his health points, bulk, and stuff. So now he's using Drain Punch, and I'm like, alright. I know from what I've, like, known previously that this Pokemon is Dark and Psychic. I knew that already, right? But I was afraid he'd predict me to go into my Crobat, so I sent in my Ferrothorn knowing that he would take Iron Barb's damage and he'll also take some damage via the Toxic. So now his Hoopa is really being bound in a... No, I'm not even going to use that joke. So now he's taking some toxic damage, as you can see right here, and I'm like, okay, should I use Protect? I don't really know, like, what he's going to do. Like, is he going to switch at this point or what? So he uses Dark Pulse, and I'm like, cool. I don't mind him using Dark Pulse. He told me later that he didn't go for the Drain Punch because he was kind of predicting me to... Well, not predicting me, but he was afraid that the damage that he would take would be negated by the Iron Barbs, but I didn't really mind, honestly. I really didn't. So there goes Dark Pulse right there. He's using some of his health points. I go for the Leech Seed, and from here, I'm thinking, okay, so now he's seeded. On top of that, he's taking damage from the Life Orb, and he's also toxic. Now, honestly, this Pokemon right here was absolutely the worst threat on this entire team, and I was glad I was able to take care of it immediately, because from what I did learn, I've only seen this Pokemon once on Pokemon Showdown, and I know it had some physical attacks. I know it also had some special attacks, but it was kind of like a mixed type, so I was like, okay. So now I use Protect at this point because I'm like, you know what, I mean, it's kind of obvious I'm going to use Protect, so that's why he switched, which is a pretty smart play on his part. Now, at this point, I'm like, okay, he might have, like, might have the Fire Blast, you know, or I don't know if he's Scarfed or not, so I yo into my Rotom because, there it is. So I go into my Rotom because I'm like, he can't use Earthquake, Fire Blast won't be very effective, and most likely he's not going to use the Dragon move because Ferrothorn is right there in his face. So now he switches into Hoopa, and he knows that he has the rocks up. Initially, gives him a free switch in because, you know, the rocks. So the rocks kill him, and now he sees that I'm going to use Will-O-Wisp. So now he knows that most likely I may not be the type to have like specs or anything like that. So that's a really smart play on my opponent's part. So now he goes in, he sends out this Manectric, and you're going to see that this Manectric was really getting on my nerves the more this fight progresses. So now I send him my Ferrothorn, predicting him to not immediately go into he's not going to use Flamethrower because of what he sees. So now he uses Thunderbolt, and I'm thinking to myself, I want my Blissey to have a little bit more health because my Blissey is a huge threat to his team. So now I'm kind of like saying, alright, should I play this game and like, you know, switch right to my Blissey? But I know my Blissey can't take another Thunderbolt, and on top of the rocks, and on some other stuff. So now I play a huge mind game. I stay in. I go for the Elite Seed. Now I know this is the part that just drives me crazy, because at this point I'm kind of like, all right, Ferrothorn could die. I don't mind Ferrothorn going away, but he doesn't know that. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, if I were my opponent, you know, what would I do or whatever, right? So then he sends out his Tornadus, and let me see, what do I do after this? Do I go for that's right, I went for another Elite Seed because I was predicting him to use the Volt Switch and then go into a different Pokemon. So I double seeded at this point. Now from here, I'm thinking, okay, should I stay in? Well, I mean, not. I am still thinking I should stay in because I really don't like care. But I'm thinking, should I use Protect or should I use Elite Seed again? Now, ironically, I should have just used Elite Seed again, because in the essence I didn't really care, but I did want to get an extra 12% damage just in case you use like Flamethrower or something, or Superpower, right? But I was like, you know what, whatever. So at least I got an extra 6% damage from here. Now he uses Fire Blast, and I avoid the attack. He didn't show it, but he was kind of heated. I know he was heated. I told him I'd be heated too, man. That was really, oh my god. Oh my god. So now I get a free Elite Seed on this dude. I'm like, okay, he's of course most likely going to use Fire Blast from this point, and I'm like, is he gonna stay in or go or whatnot? Now he did a pretty good play here. He didn't want to show whether he was scarfed or not. Really good stuff, man, really good stuff, and you're gonna see why later. Actually it wouldn't have mattered, honestly, but whatever. So I use Protect, right? And now at this point I'm still kind of like, you know what, I don't mind. Ferrothorn, he can do whatever he wants to do. So he uses Overheat, and now he reveals that he has the Overheat as opposed to like the Fire Blast or the Flamethrower, and that means that whenever he uses an attack, like whenever he uses Overheat, he's going to suffer a -2 to his special attack. So now I have the opportunity to send out my Blissey, and even though I take damage from the rocks, it's going to allow me to be able to heal myself. And bam, only 29. So now I soft-boiled back up to 50% plus the 6% from the leftovers. 56 plus 6%. No, 56% total. Alright. So now, bam, soft-boiled, I'm back up. Now I'm thinking, should I go for the Toxic or should I go for the soft-boiled from here? You know, just so I can get a lot of my health back. And he sends out his Tornadus. Now, at this point, I'm kind of thinking, alright, he sent out his Tornadus, and he's most likely might have the superpower. Later, he did reveal that he had the superpower, but you'll see. You'll see what I mean. So now he uses Knockoff, right? And I'm like, okay, I was afraid of him going into the superpower, so I soft-boiled again so that he could use the superpower, and I'd be able to eat that up, and then he'll lose some of his attack, and then I'll be back into the thing, and you know. So that was a good play on my opponent's part. He uses Knockoff so that he can knock off my leftovers, and then use U-turn from here, and from right here. Let me see. He goes into his Klefki, and now I go and use Toxic. I was hoping that he would send out every other Pokemon besides Klefki so that I could Toxic whatever he decides to send out. But unfortunately, it is a Klefki. Luckily, I have the most craziest move in my Blissey, and you guys know exactly what move it is for those of you that know my Blissey, and it is Flamethrower. I'm getting ready to burn this Klefki into another dimension. So, now he gets a little bit of the heal because he's leftovers, and I'm kind of thinking to myself, alright, this is a lot of spikes, but a lot of Pokemon on my team aren't really affected by the spikes. Like, my Talonflame isn't affected, my Blissey is, well, okay, my Blissey obviously is affected, but my Rotom isn't affected by the spikes, and, man, well, I have a lot of Pokemon that, well, okay. The Pokemon that are really like needed in this battle weren't affected by the spikes. So that's basically what I'm saying. So now he gets 3 layers of spikes. Kind of a scary proposition right there, because I'm like, all right, what am I gonna do like if I have to like switch a lot? Which I kind of predicted I didn't really have to. Now at this point, I didn't want Belly Drum to be an issue, because if you were able to get a free Belly Drum from here, then that wouldn't be good. In hindsight, I'm kind of like, in hindsight, I guess this was a good play, but it was a 50-50. Like, if you use Belly Drum, then it would have been bad regardless, but, you know, so I decided to take this opportunity to say, alright, let me go into my Rotom, because he's obviously not, he's going to use, like, Belly Drum or an attack if he has it, Superpower if he has it, so it was the best play. I went to my Rotom, and he was obviously Choice Banded from what you saw. Oh, by the way, that Will-O-Wisp right there, that Will-O-Wisp, I was so upset when that Will-O-Wisp didn't hit, because that would have been an extra 12% damage every time he comes in, including when he's using Volt Switch and all this other stuff. I was really upset about that. Because, see, look, T-Bolt, he would have taken an extra 12% damage right here, right now. Man, that was upsetting. Oh, by the way, as you can see, there's a lot of Stealth Rocks and Spikes, so now you can see my Blissey is pretty much just taking tons of damage. And being that situation, I just leave my Blissey in, and I'm like, screw it, because Blissey can't really do nothing in this battle at this point. So now I toxic his Azumarill, and his Azumarill is, of course, now toxic. So I know that he's choice because of all that damage that it did to my max health points, max defense Rotom. You know, Waterfall, come on, coming from the Azumarill, come on. So obviously this Azumarill was choice banded. I was just happy that it didn't go for play rough, but I don't really see the profit of that. So that was a, you know, I guess, you know, it is what it is. So now I send him my Crobat, and I'm like, alright, my Crobat is going to be able to Brave Bird whatever he decides to send out. Somebody is going to die. So now he sends out his Garchomp, and I'm like, alright, we're going to figure out what this Garchomp is, because if he's Scarfed, then it's going to do a ton of damage to me. He'll be able to hit me, basically, you know, so that's pretty much where I was going at. So now the Rough Skin does some damage, and then later to find out he is Rocky Helmet. So that is also going to do some damage, which basically means that Crobat is going to commit suicide, unfortunately. But the Brave Bird still kills this Garchomp, and is definitely going to put us into a very good position, because that Garchomp is kind of like, you know, annoying. And I didn't want to have to deal with this Garchomp anymore, then I didn't have to at all. Actually, in hindsight, Garchomp was kind of the least, was the problem that I had, was the Pokemon I would have the least problems with. Because this Manectric right here, this Manectric is the Pokemon I had the most problems with. See, like, right here, if he would have had 24% extra damage due to the burn, I would have been able to Bullet Punch immediately, right from the start. And then I wouldn't have had to have worried about much of, well, anything. So now I go into my Rotom knowing that he's most likely going to either use Volt Switch or go for the Overheat. Luckily, he did go for the Overheat. So I'm looking at that Overheat damage, and I'm like, okay, maybe I can take a Volt Switch, you know, even though it is -2, even though I'm only just max health points, but I can't. So my Rotom dies. I was going to go for Rest from that point so I can get all my health back and then kind of like reset my Rotom. And then he would have then sent out his Tornadus like he does right here. And I would have been able to burn the Tornado. No, Thunderbolt the Tornadus. But from here, this right here, this is the clutch moment, alright? And you're going to see exactly why. So now I'm at 77% damage, and I go for the Roost. He can't, the only thing he can do to me is Hurricane. That'll do over a certain amount of damage. He goes for the Hurricane, 75% chance to hit. Yes, he gets it. And he also gets the 30% chance for confusion. Now my plan was to use the Roost. Hopefully he missed Hurricane, and then I go for the Swords Dance. Luckily I get my Roost off again, and now I'm kind of just a little bit back into the battle. And he goes for the Hurricane again. Unfortunately, hits me again, and gets the crit. So that pretty much just seals the deal right there. If I was able to get the Swords Dance and the acrobatics techniques going on, I would have been able to sweep the rest of the 2 Pokemon on his team. However, I have to now rely on my Scizor, and maybe, just maybe, I'll be able to get something going on from here. So from here, let's see, I go straight for the Bullet Punch, And in hindsight, I kind of wish that, because look, he goes for the knockoff. Like, if I went for the swords dance from here, I probably would have been able to do a little bit of extra damage to his Mega Manetric. So that actually, yeah, that might, yeah, and I should have went for swords dance. I should have went for it, because there would have been nothing for me to lose. Man, I just caught wind of that just now. Man, oh well, I don't even care about that. This battle, this is one of the best battles I've had in a long time. And man, like, that was good, man. I love having battles with Anthony because he really knows the stuff. And we were talking about this battle for a while because, like, we was especially the part with the Rotom and the whole you know, missing the Fire Blast. Oh yeah, that stuff, man. That stuff. Oh man, great battle nonetheless. Anyway, and I'm glad that you guys enjoy these battles. And as you know, there will be many more battles like these in the future. Well, see you later.